All right, let's talk about something almost every homeowner dreads, getting drywall repaired. You know the drill. It's slow, it can be super frustrating, and honestly a little confusing. But what if there was a smart, modern way to just cut through all that noise and get a perfect repair every single time?
So let's just dive right in with the big question. You find a dent, maybe a crack, or yikes, a full-on hole in your wall. You make the call to get it fixed, and then nothing. The waiting game begins. Why is it that what feels like it should be a simple fix turns into this whole complicated song and dance of scheduling estimates, waiting on quotes, and just hoping the work actually starts sometime this decade?
Well, the thing is, it all boils down to one single core problem that just stops projects dead in their tracks: ambiguity. All that uncertainty creates what we call the lag. You know what I'm talking about? It's that dead space between when you find the damage and when you actually get a firm price and a start date. It's totally fueled by vague questions and the need for someone to come all the way out to your house just to figure out what's wrong.
But what if you could just bypass the lag completely? I mean, just imagine having a virtual building surgeon in your pocket. Someone who could give you a super precise diagnosis and a guaranteed upfront quote for your drywall repair, right from your phone before anyone even thinks about stepping foot on your property. And to really show us how this is done, it's time to meet the solution. And he's embodied by Knockout Drywall's own expert, Chipper, the boxing kangaroo. His whole philosophy is simple, but it's powerful. Don't just patch it, knock it out. This isn't about slapping on a quick fix. It's about doing the job right with precision and strength from the very first step.
So the secret sauce here is a process called digital triage. And you can see what it is. It's basically telemedicine for your home. You know, just like a nurse in the ER assesses a patient to figure out the right level of care, digital triage remotely diagnoses your drywall damage. It lets us know immediately if we're looking at a simple cosmetic repair or a more serious structural replacement. Okay, so how does this whole virtual consultation actually work? Well, it's incredibly efficient. And it all comes down to asking the right 3 questions. And these are questions designed to get clear yes or no answers that completely eliminate all that frustrating ambiguity. First up, the scale check. The old way is asking, so how big's the hole? But, your idea of big could be totally different from a contractor's. The knockout question is just brilliantly simple. Is the damage larger than a standard sheet of printer paper? Everybody knows what that looks like. It's a yes or no question that immediately tells us if we're dealing with a little ding or something much more substantial.
Next, we've got the environmental check. Just asking, where is the damage, is way too vague. The knockout question gets super specific. Is the damage in a garage, a utility room, or under a stairway? Now, this is absolutely crucial because, by law, these specific areas often need special fire code-rated materials for safety. So this one question instantly clears up a major requirement.
And finally, the moisture check. Is there any water damage? That just doesn't give us enough to go on. The knockout question looks for the physical clues. Is the drywall soft to the touch, bulging out, or discolored from water? A yes to this is a major red flag. See, any drywall that's been wet for more than 48 hours has to be professionally replaced to prevent mold. So this tells us if we're dealing with a simple repair or a potential biohazard.
And just like that, with the answers to only those 3 questions, the virtual diagnosis is totally complete. We can now move straight from assessment to action and prescribe the exact treatment your wall needs, all thanks to the Knockout Standard Kit system.
So here's where it all comes together. That simple sheet of printer paper from the first question, that's our universal anchor. If the damage fits on that sheet of paper, we're typically talking a minor repair, which is handled by kits 1 through 3. But if it's larger than the paper, or if there are any moisture or fire code issues, then we're looking at a more involved replacement, which needs a kit 4 or 5. And here's a quick look at the kits themselves. You can see each one corresponds to a specific diagnosis. Kits 1 to 3 handle all the smaller stuff. Kit 4 is for a full-on structural replacement, and Kit 5 is for those serious jobs with moisture. By mapping our 3-question diagnosis right to a specific kit, we can give you a precise, guaranteed quote in minutes, no lag, and absolutely no surprises.
So let's say our virtual consultation says your damage is larger than a sheet of paper. Bam, that prescribes a Kit 4 replacement. Now, this is not just a patch. You can think of this as a virtual handbook for a full surgical procedure on your wall. We're talking removing the damaged drywall from stud to stud, installing a brand new skin of gypsum board, and then using a special setting type compound. We call it hot mud that hardens chemically, kind of like concrete. This gives you a rigid, fire-rated base that brings the wall's structural integrity all the way back.
Okay, so this next point is absolutely crucial. Once the diagnosis is made and the work is on the books, a truly professional, lasting repair is not a one-day job, and there is a very important reason for that. You just can't rush the chemistry. A finish that lasts forever requires a meticulous 3-visit treatment. Let's break down these 3 visits. Visit 1 is the surgery. That's when the damaged section is completely removed and the new drywall is installed and sealed up tight. Visit 2 is all about curing. The technician comes back, sands the surface perfectly smooth, and applies texture to match the surrounding wall. Then, the most important part, the patch has to fully dry. Finally, visit 3 is the finish, where the now cured wall gets primed and receives 2 coats of paint, which makes the repair blend in so well it's like it was never even there.
And this right here is exactly why that second visit and the drying time are non-negotiable. See, if you paint over fresh, damp texture, you're literally trapping moisture inside the wall. It might look okay for a little while, but eventually that moisture is going to push its way out and your brand new paint will start to bubble, blister, and peel. That dedicated curing time is the secret to a flawless finish that actually lasts.
So after all of this, the smart questions, the right kit, the patient process, what's the final result? Well, it's a flawless finish and, more importantly, another happy customer. By completely getting rid of the lag, this whole system just transforms the customer experience. You're not left waiting and wondering what's going on. You get an instant, guaranteed quote. There's zero ambiguity about the work or the price. The end result is a flawless, structurally sound repair that gives you complete peace of mind, from that very first click all the way to the final walkthrough.
And really, this is the goal of the entire system. A perfectly restored wall, a job done right the very first time, and the satisfaction of a smooth professional experience. That, my friends, is a true knockout.
So this really leaves us with one final thought. The next time you're looking at some damaged drywall, just remember that there is a better process out there. Isn't it time we replace the frustrating, ambiguous old way of doing things with a smarter, faster solution that's just a few simple questions away?